This is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And on this week's episode, we have a guest, Bob Chipman.
Hey, how's it going?
Happy to have you, Bob.
Oh, thank you very much, guys. Always a pleasure.
And we're here to talk about X-Men First Class,
yes,
which opens this week. In fact, we're recording on Sunday. It opened a couple days ago. I'm sure it's done gangbusters business. Haven't checked the stats because I've been working and sleeping mostly. But
55 mil projection.
Wow.
That's the first day?
No,
first
for the weekend. 55 mil projection, low opening for an X-Men movie, decent opening for this time of year.
Lemmings, they're all lemmings.
And I wanted to dislike this movie, and I could not. I tried hard to write this off as...
Before you went in, you went in wanting to dislike it.
Oh yeah, I was angry. I was ready to just this is going to be like preteen Glee garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, it was, and they did not do me wrong. I mean, and then I was kind of angry because I was like, God, man.
You'd already written the review. Now you had to change it.
It's not bad. It's just one of those things where, you're in a mood beforehand. And I was looking for every opportunity. I was actively searching to destroy. And
I want people to know not all critics do this at every screening.
Yeah.
No.
It was just whatever.
I'm playing it up a little. I was just being overly critical at the time, but it turned out to be a really finely, finely as in fine, F-I-N-E, well-made film. It accomplished not sucking.
Barely in my opinion, but I did have the absolute joy of sitting at Bob for this screening, and Bob was very happy.
Do tell.
Yes, I was.
Do tell.
I liked it a lot. Especially, it's such a nice pickup after, the last. I mean, the X-Men. There have been two X-Men movies since, I guess the second one was 2002.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's a
long time.
Well, because they made the last two X-Men movies have basically sucked. They had the third one was terrible, and then they had the Wolverine on his own movie was just such a huge piece of shit.
It was 2008.
Yeah, that was.
Liev Schreiber as Silver.
Sabretooth. Yeah, he was the terrible film, and it's such a nice comeback from that. But it is actually it's being mainly discussed as, wow, this is so much better than the others, but it actually is pretty good in its own right.
Yeah.
I thought.
Well, the first thing I said when I walked out was, I'm glad that Brett Ratner had nothing to do with this. I'm glad that he was nowhere near the editing council, so that every 6 seconds you were cutting away to something. And this movie had a lot of... It was terrifically edited. It was given a lot of space to breathe. The characters were... just really well developed, and it was a large cast, and it's hard to do with that. But there's some that's just the small stuff. Yeah. It's frankly astonishing towards the end.
I disagree. I had one stumbling block in this movie that happened pretty early, and I couldn't get over. Kevin Bacon was awful.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I thought it was terrific.
I thought it was a joke at first when suddenly he's there speaking German. I was like, okay, is this stunt casting? What is this? And then he turns out to be the bad guy. Oh my God, I hated him. I never, ever got into him, and a movie like this without a bad guy is just a waste of my time. I just thought he was terrible.
Well,
I just, in the beginning, and he's just sitting at the desk, and he's, without giving away all the big secrets, he starts speaking German to a young Magneto. And I was just like, come on, really? Is he reading that off a cue card? How much did he have to study to memorize this bad German speech? I did not accept it.
I thought he was just stepping it up since Super.
No, and then by the time
before Super, but
by the time he slips on that Magneto helmet, which I have to now credit Ian McKellen for really being able to make that helmet work, because everyone else in it looks pretty stupid.
Well, McKellen's helmet is different though. He's wearing he had a
more accurately.
Well, he had his helmet was more designed like a modern version. The one they're wearing in this looks kind of exactly like the one he wears in the old '60s X-Men comics.
Yeah.
And it really is a very silly. It's sort of weird to point out that as something looks silly in a movie where one of the characters is like a blue monkey. and and this is sort of remarked upon once and not brought up again. It's like, yeah, he's a blue monkey, and there's another guy who looks like the devil, like literally the devil. He's like red skin and a forked tail and whatnot, and it's sort of, this is just kind of how things are here. But it is kind of a silly looking helmet. I like it because it looks like what it's supposed to look like, but it's a
well, I think there's a lot of for a lot of this movie is directed at the fan because, like when Kevin Bacon's two sidekicks, the devil guy and the guy who I guess can make wind with his hands.
Yeah, that's Riptide and Azazel.
See, they never even say their frickin' names.
He calls him Azazel twice. The other guy, Riptide, does not actually get called by name, and he's a really obscure character. I don't know what he's doing in there.
And he's just some guy in like this 70s disco suit who holds his hands up and like looks like a male model. Yeah. And then suddenly the special effect goes off in his hand and he throws it at people.
They need another guy to punch.
Yeah. And they wouldn't punch Kevin Bacon enough.
Well, you can't punch Sebastian Shaw because he absorbs kinetic energy and redirects it back at you. So if you punch him, he's just going to get stronger.
It's interesting how they reveal that. I wasn't familiar with who Sebastian Shaw was.
It's a cute reveal. I like that. I like Kevin Bacon. He is a ham in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like everyone else is playing kind of sort of this is what this would be in the real world, and he's like Art Goldfinger.
Well, he's like one of the smarmy bad guys with a sense of humor.
Yeah, it's over the top. I like that he goes that far over the top because all of the X-Men movies up to this point either have villains that you can kind of sympathize with, like Magneto, or they tend to have bad guys who are kind of morose and down about, like Brian Cox in the second one. Where he's an evil bastard, but he's kind of I'm evil, but I'm Brian Cox, so I'm.
And but he had a good reason to be.
Yeah. He had a thing going, but I kind of have one in this one that it's like, okay, now finally here's a guy who's just effing evil. He's just a bastard. He's not a terribly complicated character. The movie is about the Charles Xavier and Magneto, and then the bad guy. Just look, this is the bad guy. He wants to blow up the planet. Just let it roll.
Mm-hmm. But I couldn't do that. What was your favorite part about the movie? Because I do have one favorite part.
Okay.
Oh well, simple. I was amazed, and this movie's been out for a couple days, so we're getting right into the spoiler.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was amazed by the submarine levitation scene. That was pretty astonishing.
All right, Bob?
I'm going to venture way into spoilerish territory. I won't get totally technical, but the last 10 minutes of this movie, which is sort of dedicated to leaving things in the, like putting everything in the places where it would be, where the kind of explains, okay, this is where Professor X comes, this is where Magneto comes from. What's nice about it is that the way they set it up by tying it to a direct historical event in the Cuban Missile Crisis, this actually deletes X-Men 3 and Wolverine from continuity. Those movies can no longer have happened because of the way this ends up.
Interesting that it's produced again by Bryan Singer. So
directed the first two, but not the third one.
So did he have any story involvement with the third one?
Nothing. He left the series to go make the Superman movie for Warner Brothers, and he said, Fox, hey guys, can you hold this? And they said no, we can't. And then
and that turned out to be a huge argument. And he was kicked off of the
they shoved him out of the whole. I mean, he never got along with Fox, but they shoved him right out of the project on that. And they brought in Matthew Vaughn to make the third one, and then he couldn't get along with them either because Fox is just an awful studio to work with, shockingly. And so they had to make the movie really fast. And then Brett Ratner came in, and I mean,
hot from a Mariah Carey video. I'm sure.
He's he is quite a guy. I see. Brett Ratner's like the uninteresting Michael Bay.
Have you ever seen that DVD?
I don't know. I mean, I must say, in the spirit of full disclosure, Fox brought me to the set. I interviewed Brett Ratner on the set of Last Stand and talked with him. And
have you ever seen the DVD salute to his career?
He has a DVD salute to Brett Ratner. Has a DVD salute to his career.
It's got Mariah Carey on the cover. And it's just mainly his rap music videos and a couple mentions of his movies. So it's just pumped out to like cash in before the guy,
Isn't he like
OD someplace?
He's like Homeboys with Roman Polanski, right? Isn't that? Isn't that?
Well, I want to say my experience with him was everybody was really, really positive about it. I mean, he's a good ringleader,
I'm sure.
But it doesn't to amount to being a great filmmaker.
Right.
It amounts to being someone that the producers really like because you get stuff done.
Well, this is a guy whose main, like his famous directorial achievement is he made Jackie Chan boring 3 movies in a row because he did the Rush Hour movies. So that's kind of impressive when you've got a guy who's willing to throw himself off a bus or in front of one to make the movie good, and you still can't make a good movie with him.
I wonder what his next movie is.
I don't know. I'm sure.
Care Bears, live action Care Bears.
Whatever someone else quits and they need fixed right away, because that's been his last 2 big movies.
He's
other
the
than
director
Russia.
of Threes.
Yeah, he made Red Dragon and yeah, exactly. So
all right, so my favorite part. Let's reel this back in. My favorite part about X-Men First Class. Of all the superhero movies I've ever seen, this one had by far the most lingerie I've ever seen.
They're really
movie.
pressing that. I was looking at all the press photos. And it's like they give you like 40 press photos, and half of them are like January Jones. As Emma Frost and Zoe Kravitz as
the stripper with the wings.
Angel Salvatore.
Yeah.
I was just, but even when they go in the club,
we'll be going
it's
with a picture of Angel.
hordes of women walking around in their underwear. It was just like, this is the craziest thing ever. But it was my favorite part. So.
You know, I want to say that the movie, as it let me step back for a second. When they got into the later Batman movies, and you were trying to balance all these characters, a lot of actors didn't want to be involved because it was just like spreading everything too thin. You know what I mean?
You mean the later, like Joel Schumacher Batman?
Yeah.
Okay.
But here, we have a ton of characters, but everybody gets their day in the sun, and it all seems to work. It all seems to you get the character arc for Mystique. Yeah. You get the character arc for Professor X and Magneto. And Magneto has a couple of terrific, gray area establishing scenes. When he goes to South America to try and find the Nazis, to try and find Sebastian. But essentially, I think it's all about trust. I think I can liken it to the Force. There's a fine line between good and evil, right? And some people turn
Star
over
Wars
to the dark side, dark side.
I've been left out of this conversation. I can tell.
But particularly in Mystique's storyline, she's genuinely really good, but she's been dissed and lied to. Which kind of, and then in a very extreme ways, Magneto was dissed.
Well, I like that they have.
By dissed by I mean Shaw killed his mom.
Right. Not everyone gets a lot of development. Like you said, like Riptide is never actually named. He's in a bunch of scenes. He's doing all this business. A lot of the younger kids who actually are the First Class, they get the Havoc.
Oh, the name of Banshee.
Yeah, Havoc and Darwin. They show up and they
do their trick, and then they either get killed or they never heard from it. That's the thing. I mean, the lead characters.
Is that the way it played out in the comic?
A lot of this is different from the comic continuity of people who are like Havoc is technically Cyclops' younger brother in the comics, and here he's got to be at least 30 years older.
Well, that's one of the things. Again, the lead characters, Mystique and Xavier and Magneto get their place in the sun, but so much of this movie to me was just like dragging out the pony, having them do their one trick, and then putting them back in the barn. They're not part of the story to me. It's like, come on, I don't need the full 20-man roster to find out what's happening to the main 3 and the cheesy bad guy.
But I have to tell you, what this movie does is it doesn't pull any punches.
In what way?
In its action, in the way that the characters go over the top. And, it's killing off of certain people. It's not light. It actually gets pretty violent and heavy. And it doesn't shy away from stuff. And then there's the terrific
Well, they
scene.
do open in the Holocaust. That's terrific.
So did X-Men 1. It's the same fucking opening.
No, it's a dramatic thing. It's not. This is not like light stuff. It's actually some pretty heavy action shit that goes on.
I didn't find it.
Yes.
What? Give me an example.
When Sebastian Shaw comes in to destroy Oliver Platt's science base. That whole when they're just blowing the place up and killing them off. It was just fucking cool.
It's PG-13. They bang dead, fall down.
When Magneto goes to South America to find Shaw, and he ends up killing the 3 guys in the bar. How he does it, I'm not going to say, but I mean that was pretty extreme. The scene where Magneto's mother is killed off at the beginning of the movie, and then Magneto himself kills the guards. I mean, they're not. I mean, there's blood here. This is PG-13. This isn't X-Men First Class high school reunion. This is like X-Men First Class PG-13. I'm saying PG-13, and that's not having enough resonance. But I'm telling you, but
kids will be frightened, I guess. And kids and Steve.
It didn't go with my expectation. It didn't pull punches that way. I thought it had the coolest cameo of the year.
There are two fun cameos in the movie. That's which is a lot of fun. I won't say them out loud.
I enjoyed it.
People haven't seen the movie yet because it is a nice reveal.
Yeah, and in particular, another killing, Oliver Platt. That was. As an example, people are killed off as examples.
I would have felt. I like Oliver Platt. I feel like there's a longer version of this movie somewhere where his character had like a name, because he's like literally like he's a CIA guy.
He's the 2012 guy that's been put into X-Men.
Well, you know what it is if this was like an official Marvel Studios movie instead of a Fox movie, he would have been it would have been Clark Gregg again. It would have been his part, and that would have been a Shield installation instead of something else. But I can assume we all agree Michael Fassbender is kind of a star after this. I think Monday morning he has a lot more offers because he has kind of the lead role in this. As like he's sort of like the hero character.
All over the place. He's been like this guy that's been like in these lots of high profile minor roles.
And he was in Inglourious Bastards. He's the English soldier who gets shot in the bar.
I meant to say low profile minor roles, lots of stuff. But this is terrific. And James McAvoy.
He's good.
Yeah, really good. Really good. But he has a certain regalness.
Well, you know what I like about him is that in this movie, because we know who these two guys are going to grow up to be, we know that Charles Xavier is a good guy and that Magneto's eventually a bad guy, is that they kind of tweak your expectations in this one where Magneto in this movie, who we know is going to grow up to be a more or less sympathetic villain in the other movies where he's trying to kill all humanity and whatnot. But in this, he's much more like the action guy, and he's more like immediately likable because he's more like the traditional action hero where he's chasing down the bad guys and killing them. And Professor X, as a young guy, is really kind of a prick in this movie. Like he
has a better sense of himself and humanity, and he's sort of balanced where his impression of other people's abilities isn't exclusionary. It's like we're all in this together.
He's more of a prick.
Yeah, but this is an important differential. This is a differential that's going to cut the good from the bad. This is where it's not that the bad guys.
Is this the Force again? It is.
Well, if it is, John, it's not the Force. It's a long-time storytelling construct where good is very close to bad, and here it's the bad that for some reason think that they're better than other people, or they're doing it out of vengeance because they were dissed. But either way, the bad is somewhat evolved from the whole exclusionary idea, and what Bob, you were saying about the mutant dilemma.
Yeah,
and this is what hurts at the end. Towards the end is where we're befriending these people who actually turn on us, and it hurts because you're friends with these people, and then they let you down. Then Mystique makes a choice that's absolutely fucking elitist. And it fucking sucks. So fuck her, and that hurts. And that's another reason why this movie is good, because it's close to the bone in a way.
I didn't find that at all, though.
It's like they think that they're better than everybody, and they want to prove it. Well, it's no fucking reason. We're all human.
Weren't these the same?
Except they're not human, though.
Weren't these the same?
Yes, but they're elitist.
Weren't these the same themes explored in the first one, pretty much? Almost in the same.
This is sort of it is the recurring motif of the whole X-Men thing is that is that mutant in this is used in when they did it in the 60s, it was used as a stand-in for the civil rights era, now in these ones it's used not very subtly as now they're standing in for gay. Is where this is mutant and proud. It's this whole business. What I like about the turnaround in this one is that because neither of the two guys have kind of Magneto hasn't gone off and tried decide to wipe out humanity yet. He doesn't really get there until X-Men 1 in the movies, and that's 30 years after this or some such. But you have in this movie, you have these two guys who are more or less on the same side, but Professor X is this. He's kind of a douche. In the movie, he's idealistic, but it's idealism that comes out of being naive. That his mutation is invisible. He doesn't have to deal with anyone picking on him. He's grown up, wealthy. He has this giant mansion, and then Magneto.
He doesn't have the childhood trauma.
Yeah, well, we see, he was living in a mansion at the same time that Magneto was, in a concentration camp. It's, it's not.
And he uses his power to pick up chicks.
Yeah, he uses to meet girls, and he's one of these guys that he can stay closeted easily, so it's okay for him. Whereas he has Mystique who's living with him in this movie, and he's not picking up that she likes him. He's not picking up.
Yeah, so I guess he's not as telepathic as he thinks, right?
He's not picking up that she has an issue with having to walk around dressed like a normal human, and it's when we get to the finale of this movie, and
he is socially inept.
Yeah, he's a dick, and it's he's one of these he's like your quintessential limousine liberal basically in the movie, is that he's very naive about it, and when
you were saying when we get to the end of the movie.
Right, well, when we get to the end of this, we have this again, spoiler alert, the X-Men all fighting on the same team at this point, all the mutants, they save the world, and then the people that they save the world for immediately decide, oh crap, they have superpowers, they're scary, let's kill them all. And this is the turning point where Magneto goes, okay, you guys, I'm the bad guy now, and it's that event turns the heroic guy Magneto, and it's okay, one step over the edge into an asshole. But for Professor X, it's the swift kick in the ass that he needed to be the good guy in the other movies, where he's okay, I'm an idealist, but I'm realistic about it.
Right.
It's a really sharp way to define those two characters.
That's a good way to sum it up.
The term you used of the limousine liberal, to me, this Professor X is that way up until the end. Yeah. But at some point in the story, he's supposed to change, and suddenly, instead of using his power to pick up chicks, he's going to use it to gather all the mutants and all that. And I never found that convincing. There wasn't a moment in that movie where it was convincing to me that, this was the moment he turned. Maybe I missed it, or maybe it just wasn't.
Yeah, I thought it was a little unclear, but it Bob, you did make a good point. It did happen at that point when all the nukes were flying around.
Yeah, it's
so in a way, the shift in what's going on in their characters is played out in the air.
Yeah, it's right. Because the one thing you have to get right in this backstory, because when we open the first X-Men movie, these two guys show up. They're meeting, as old men. They haven't seen each other in a while, and we're told in the first one that these guys used to be friends. Something happened, and one of them went off and became the good guy leader, and the other one went off and became the bad guy leader. And it's such a great turnaround in this one that when we see them as young men, the one who grows up to be a villain is James Bond basically, and the one who grows up to be the good guy is this insufferable bastard that we can't stand. And the idea that this is the thing. It's okay, this is where this one is okay, that's it's a more interesting way to do it than in the Star Wars movie, the Star Wars prequels. Where we meet young Darth Vader is a young asshole, and young Obi-Wan is exactly like old Obi-Wan. He's just younger, and it's boring. It's a much better version of that.
Just as a quick aside, when we're talking about the final scene, the warships and all that happening, there's another great cameo, and it's really for hardcore movie fans. The captain of the American Navy vessel. It's just a momentary thing, but it's so cool to see him.
It's hey, it's that guy. Yeah. Matthew Vaughn is really good with small role casting.
It's an important thing.
Is he? Do I remember hearing he married Claudia Schiffer, right? Isn't he Mr. Claudia Schiffer?
I don't know. Why am I thinking Billy Joel?
That's Christy Brinkley.
Okay. Oh, Christ.
Get your supermodel straight.
Speaking of which, January
Claudia
Jones.
Schiffer. I guess you can afford that.
Yeah, January Jones.
Not a lot of range, but I don't I've just seen this.
Actually, well cast for someone who's just supposed to be porcelain goddess.
I'm fairly convinced that she's not. Having now seen the movie twice, I'm fairly convinced that she's.
It's only Sunday, Bob. You've seen it twice.
It's. I had friends that wanted to go, but I don't want to see it again. But
it's a great movie to do that.
It's a
great movie to get excited
but she is really not much of an actress. Like, she really doesn't have. But it took me 2 movies to really give a damn. I mean, not to be like, a total pig about this, but she is like, she is stupid hot in this movie. It's really. It's for comic book fans who've been waiting a long time
or
to
lingerie
see
fans.
to see Emma Frost, the White Queen in the comics on screen, and they kind of nailed it.
I must say I love Sebastian's submarine because his whole Austin Powers aesthetic works for January Jones when she's lounging.
Yeah, this I understand they could never have put the Hellfire Club from the comics on screen in a PG-13 movie. In the comics, they have this whole they're kind of like an S&M thing going on, which is this whole other bit of business.
Right.
And in the movie, he's sort of like like evil 1960s Hugh Hefner. He has like the Playboy Mansion, but it's in a submarine, which is. It's silly, but it's kind of it's what I pay for in a movie like this. I pay for a guy who has like a mini bar in his submarine, and who is keeping more or less the devil around to serve him drinks.
His arrogance was I think it didn't work for John, but it worked for me, which was like his smugness was just like, I want to punch you in the face. Smug,
he was silly, not very substantial. I'd like to see, if they make another one. I hope they make another one with
pretty much guaranteed there'll be another one
with the same bunch of people.
It's a great reboot.
I'd hope to see a more substantial villain in the next one. Someone who you can take seriously and be afraid of, and all of those things.
Michael Fassbender could definitely take it that way. One subject we've not discussed yet is the kids. Yeah. Havoc, Beast, played by Nicholas Hoult.
He was John Lennon, right? He was the kid in that John Lennon movie, was he?
I know which one you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but I think of him as the kid from About a Boy. He was also the
he was the little. That's what I meant. He was the little kid in About a Boy.
A college student in the Colin Firth film, A Single Man.
Yep. He's in Skins too, isn't he?
I don't know.
There's like BBC fans who are going, yes,
terrific.
Yelling at the computers right now, telling me who Nicholas Hoult is.
Terrific actor. There's a really good scene in this film where it could have gone either way, boring or interesting, where he is sort of got sort of a Mystique is now interested in him, and there's sort of a relationship thing going on here, and he's like this super smart, because of his mutation, kid who's dealing with the concept of like things would be better for us if we didn't have the mutation, and I'm developing this formula that I'm getting the government's help with, to you inject it with you inject this and then it'll be normal. So he has this conversation with Mystique about whether or not to do this, and then her blue bloodness comes out in the sense that like, wait a second, I'm great. In fact, I'm terrific. And he's just like, he just wants to be normal. So the evolution of Beast. Yeah. So I kind of like the how the characters gain their footing. How they're just kids that are misguided. Like who's the guy with the rings that fly off? Havoc. And they just need focus. Havoc is used as the example of how Professor X's presence works. Well, he's not Professor X, but he's the guy that keys them in, that brings them into like a better unit.
It's a nice training montage.
It's a training montage.
It is unfortunate that they call the movie First Class. It's not I understand why they called it that. It's not really about the first class of X-Men. It's mostly the Professor X and Magneto breakup movie. But
that doesn't look good on a poster.
Yeah, well, I guess it was that they were going to just make Magneto Origins, and then they kind of folded that into this. But it's there's the kids, they all kind of get like a big scene to do their thing. There's a turnaround with Angel that I don't think a lot of people are going to be expecting. Which is
the stripper.
Yeah, that turns out that I think that surprise a lot of people.
Yeah,
I wish Eddie Gathegi had gotten to be in more of the movie. He played Darwin, the guy who adapted to stuff.
Oh yeah.
So he's
couldn't figure out his talent.
But the movie is not. I think the The special effects, I want to say, by John Dykstra, amazing. I freaking loved it.
Some of them.
Yeah, well, yes, there was a very cheap establishing shot in Las Vegas that looked like they got it from some, stock footage or something.
I mean, they're not awful, but they're not anything. They're not like a tremendous improvement over the original effects from like X-Men.
Well,
2,
I'm going to say some of the stuff towards the end there, I was astonished in a way that I hadn't been since seeing like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park for the first time.
Really?
I was like fucking amazed.
It is
by the way they did that.
Their money shot is a really good money shot. You can see where the money went.
The lingerie.
Yeah, some of it.
That was the only money shot I had.
But then there's some really glaring mistakes here. Like I said to John after I got out of the movie, okay, so the submarine slams onto the beach and it rolls over and over and over, and Sebastian's on the air or something, and he's on the inside with January Jones. So it writes itself parallel, to the ground, so that while we're having the continuation of the narrative, you're going to do this on a flat surface inside the submarine. The other one is that when there's a significant moment when Fassbender and McAvoy are trying to teach Magneto how to really move the big items, the big ticket metal items, and one of them is this like gargantuan 200-foot tall radar sitting on the horizon,
which is really inconspicuous in this mansion that the X-Men are supposedly hiding from the world in. They're hiding in a giant mansion with what looks like a NASA not even NASA, like they have like that satellite array from Contact kind of in their backyard.
Yeah, it's so far away that
but luckily it's only there when they need it.
Yes,
it's not in any
all
other
discolored
shot.
in the same color. So they do this scene where Magneto's being coached, assisted to try and move this thing, and it occurs to me that there are men that work on this thing. Yeah. They're the minions that work on this Death Star like radar device are like, what the is this thing is turning, and it's probably locked down. He's doing this. He's breaking it. He's breaking the whole fucking thing. Yeah, but how's it going to work?
Yeah, well, because he learned how to do his thing, so it's okay. So now we know how we can do that.
There was no repercussion. I mean, this was actually large-scale vandalism.
Yeah, but you got to let that shit go.
Yeah. One of the guys...
That's what Professor X said.
Yeah,
Magneto after that.
I can suspend my disbelief to that point when there's a guy who can fly by shouting at the ground.
Yeah, that was pretty absurd.
Well, that is sort of that character.
He's like bouncing around.
Yeah, well,
and he can't fly unless he has the little wing thing under his jacket.
Well, I think the idea is that he screams and shoots himself up into the air, and then he rides the hang gliding. So he uses that to shove himself up.
That was okay.
It's comic book science. The flying scenes look good. It was. It's a geek thing, but I like seeing that, like a character who's that absurd actually show up in the movie. Mm-hmm. He's just kind of like, okay, it's and then literally that's it. He's Irish guy who yells.
Rose Byrne is used in the film.
Yeah,
she's terrific to look at, but she's very, she's the human character.
The CIA.
Yeah. So it's she's kind of there, but she's not. She's kind of like us. She was reacting to all the, the mutant stuff that's going on. But I want to say, if I had to choose a particular, a particular large scene, it's the attack on the science compound. That was freaking amazing. With Azazel just kind of flying in and out, killing people.
Is that how I pronounce that?
I'm going off of you, Bob. I don't know.
Are you going to ask this? What is Azazel?
Well, when I saw him, I thought he was in some way related to what was the other character? Nightwing. The one from the second film.
Okay, this is me potentially spoiling future X-Men movies and spoiling 30-year-old X-Men continuity. Azazel is Nightcrawler's father. Mystique is his mother.
Ah, okay. Because they had very similar teleportation effects.
Yeah, and they both have that tail. Azazel is Nightcrawler's father.
And that's why Nightcrawler is blue, because his
mother is Mystique. In the original comic continuity, Mystique was supposed to be his father. That's a whole other confusing thing, and they made them change that.
No, she can do anything.
Well, no, she can turn. She can change. She can change anything. Let's leave it at that. So there's
Mystique is such an interesting on-screen character because when she's actually Mystique, always interesting to look at. Yeah. But she's also can you really trust her? She can just be anybody else. So it makes for great, some good plot twists.
Jennifer Lawrence wears the body paint well as well.
She does.
She does.
She does. No cameo from Stan Lee.
No, actually, Stan Lee is not in this one. He tweeted that he was busy for this one or some such. I mean, they made this movie very fast. Like, this was like a 6 months production. This was a very rapidly put together movie.
It's going to be a hit.
It feels it.
Yeah, it's. I
didn't. I didn't get it.
I
Felt kind of slipshod.
I really like it. I was really into it, but I think it could have been even better if it had, a little longer in the oven. But for especially after the last two movies being so terrible, I'll take what I'm given with this one. It's
you gotta see it a third time?
Probably. If it avails. So, I mean, I'll get the DVD and the Blu or whatever the format is by the time it comes out.
I was surprised to see James Remar as the U.S. General.
Yeah. When's the last time you saw him in anything? Oh no, he's on Dexter, isn't he? He's on the.
I think so. He was also in Sex and the City as.
What's James Remar?
He was the American military. He was man who points at map in this movie.
Right. He's always got like this eternal scowl on his face.
Yeah.
And I have a working memory of having done. I was working as a production assistant on Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In '94, this is the John Hughes remake.
Right.
And he was playing the bad guy that was trying to undermine Kris Kringle.
Yeah.
To just for whatever he was getting paid. I don't know. But we were doing this large scene in the courtroom, and he had to sit in the middle of all these extras. And I remember after doing like a day's work where we had him in the middle of all these extras, he just gets up and says, "These fucking extras."
I like that.
But if you can imagine James Remar's like the scowl that he seems to always have on his face, I as a young production assistant was like, "Oh shit, okay, I am not going to go anywhere."
James Remar has always kind of looked and sounded a little bit like if Robert Loggia and James Woods had a baby.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm going to be sniffing bleach to get that thought out of my head.
Sorry, yeah, he's
right.
But he's an interesting guy. He was. I remember him in the second Mortal Kombat movie.
Robert Loggia, another guy I've seen lose his temper on set.
Really?
Yeah, I was on the movie Opportunity Knocks, and he just lost it one day. He got really pissed off. Actors do that every now and then.
Robert Loggia he just starred in this pro-life horror movie. Have we seen this? There's a trailer there for this movie called Life Zone, where he's like, it's like Saw, but he's like he kidnaps women from abortion clinics and makes them have their babies or something.
Awesome. You got me.
He's like, and it's like a Christian movie or something. But he's so I guess he's the good guy.
So it'll play in the suburbs. So
yeah.
All I can say is I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I can see just a bunch of pro-lifers sitting around. Okay, what's our play here? How are we going to work this? How are we going to do this? All right, X-Men 3.
Yeah.
X-Men 3, not worth it. X-Men First Class. John, is it worth it? What do you think? Would you pay for it?
Borderline. No, really? I wouldn't go see it again. And I'm borderline on it. I wasn't that impressed. I thought it was just kind of haphazardly thrown together, and Kevin Bacon drove me fucking nuts.
That's not the Kevin Bacon that you so digged in Super. Why? I don't get it.
Because it's not the Kevin Bacon I so digged in Super. I just thought he was miscast.
He was better in Super.
I thought he was horribly miscast as an X-Men bad guy. And it was from the very first minute he was on screen, it pulled me right out. I was like, what is this?
I was not expecting it.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting it. I was surprised to see him. I had no idea he was in it. And once I saw him, I was like, really? And then that thought just kept growing as more and more silliness piled up.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Man, I thought you'd have digged it. Bob?
I liked it. Thumbs up. I was. Can I say? Didn't they copyright that? I don't think I can actually say that.
But down that other finger, Bob. Put that finger down.
Which reminds me, Roger Ebert said this week that his reviews really aren't about whether or not he's telling someone to go see a movie.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, wait a second, isn't that what thumbs up's all about?
Well, there's a difference between like the review. He's always said he didn't want stars in his reviews or whatnot. So
his reviews are a part of a continuing conversation.
With who then?
With the audience.
That he wants
to go. It's not about him telling people to go see a movie.
You know what? Keep going. You keep talking about something, but I'll prove what a liar he is.
John's looking up something on his computer right now.
I am proving what a liar.
Fingers are flying around.
That's right. You lying sack of shit,
happening
Robert
here.
Ebert.
Something's happening, and we don't know what's happening.
I'm just going to prove that Roger Ebert, in his case, is a lying piece of shit. Okay, this is from my blog, DVD a Day at blogspot.com, and this is a quote I have at the top of my blog, and I've had it here for years. He talks about the job of a critic is to basically tell people about good movies and warn them about bad movies. That's what he thinks the job of a critic is, and now he's just lying. Let's go to Picks of the Week and see if I can find this later on.
Picks of the week. I'm gonna let you talk about this. For my picks of the week, one of the movies that I dig this week is because I really enjoy. I'm not a huge fan of anime. I mean, that's not really my thing, but I really digged Appleseed.
Nice.
So there was, this film computer animated.
Right.
I don't know what to call it, like motion capture animation. And that's kind of what this is. I don't know that I'm pronouncing this the right way. It's called Toe or Toe.
I think it's 2, but
and it's a collection of 2 films. The first being Elliptical Orbit, and the second being Symbiotic Planet, and it's about the habitation of the moon in the future. At least the first one is. And I just really digged it. It's new from Funimation. And
is that how you got it?
Yeah.
Shipped like that? Because
Yeah.
now I get mine shipped in these little plastic discs, no box cover, no nothing. Just
Did
like
you watch this? I thought
Oh
it
yeah,
was terrific.
yeah. I thought it was great too. It takes me a while.
Maybe you're better. You can better explain
No,
this. to
it just
people
takes
than-
me a while because it's a different style of animation, and it's that motion capture.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
style.
It's
So it takes a while to get
amazing,
into
right.
it, but once you do, it's great storytelling. Yeah, wait, here's some. I got the Roger Ebert quote. The purpose of a movie critic is to encourage good films and discourage bad ones. No, if that's not encouraging people to go see good ones and not, I don't know what he is. Anyway, I had to say that.
I
That's
think
a DVD
everyone.
DVD a day at Blogspot.
There's only a few people, I think, that really try to make a bad movie, and that would be The Asylum and Trauma.
I don't think they. I think they try to make cheap movies.
I jest.
Cheap movies.
Even-
Anyway,
yeah.
Toe. Yeah, really good. It's like the best kind of anime for me because it looks great.
Yes.
It takes a while because remember when you were a kid, or maybe you still do it, those paint by number things. You like paint by number Jesus, and you get the cardboard thing, the blue outline with the numbers, and you get the number of paintings. And when you finished it, that's kind of what this art looks like. It's got that. Like the faces are kind of like one shade of skin tone, and then like a little highlight of color.
So it's like cell shaded.
Yeah, it takes a little while to get used to it, but the stories are strong. The acting's pretty good. Now, when you watch something like this, Steve, do you watch it in the original Japanese? Or did you watch it dubbed in
I'm
English?
all about the original Japanese.
See, I'm a dubbed guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll do dubbed if I don't have to pay attention to the, if I'm doing something else, I want to put it on, and I don't have to pay attention to it. But the subtitles and it requires you to, actually sit there and read the subtitles. But this is just, it's so visually entertaining. I was just,
Depends on the dub for me in that case. Funimation, I'd probably go with the original Japanese because they're kind of notorious for not getting like the best translations in the world. But on a fairly large project like this, they probably went for the real guys.
And great extras on this too. There's interviews
I
with the
did check
original
out
voice
those.
actors
Yeah.
who were in Appleseed, and they talk about the style of animation and how different it is for them. Good stuff with the director too on why he makes movies this way instead of traditional anime. And the fact that you get 2 separate movies in this one package is good.
The way it's packaged is with the Blu-ray, and then you get the 2 DVDs, one for each movie.
Right.
So the movies,
right.
I guess themselves are like 45, 50 minutes.
Well
You're
worth it.
probably right. I just was. I can see how some people will have problems with this motion capture animation because in a way it looks like like storyboard animation or or what do you call it?
It doesn't flow very easily at all.
Yeah, you can tell there's something like this is something that Pixar would use as an animatic, in a way or something like that. But it's super cool. It's super
Do you remember
cool.
that?
I
Was
highly
it
recommend
Final Destination, or there was some movie that came out a while ago?
Final Fantasy?
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, the movie version of Final Fantasy.
Right. And I remember when it was coming out, they had the director come in. It was at the Copley. That's how long.
Oh
it was.
with the motion
And he was
capture
talking about how
animation.
every frame was 180 layers of different, artwork and stuff, and all the effort they put into it, and it didn't look good.
No, it didn't.
It just didn't look good.
The Final Fantasy movie was god awful.
Much sleeker in design. It's the same style he used in Exiles, and Appleseed.
Yeah, I think the one drawback to it is that, and maybe this is sort of an element in other anime, and I'm learning more about anime. I'm in no way an expert. Is that it's really soupy melodramatic at certain parts. It gets
That's kind of far for the course.
Wait until you get into romances where suddenly the whole screen burst into flowers when they fall in love.
Anime is Telemundo with lasers.
Yeah, they can get, but at the same time, when they do horror or action movies, they can get really violent and gory.
They go nuts.
They definitely push the envelope. Everything's over the top.
Subtlety is not considered a virtue in anime. It's cool. It's a shouty medium.
Yeah, but which is why there are moments in both these movies, these quiet little poetic moments. Whether it's in the second film when they've been infected by a mold and the young lovers are separated by the door, because one's in quarantine and they're talking through the doorway. Things like that are unusual for anime.
Yeah, and the extreme close-ups. Like some people have a problem with those. I kind of dig it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was very well done. Very good, very cool stuff.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I also was sent a copy of a. John's laughing because I just pulled out the DVD. It's called Behind the Burly Cue: The Story of Burlesque in America, directed by Leslie Zemeckis, Robert Zemeckis' daughter.
Oh wow!
And it's the in-depth history of burlesque.
Isn't it awesome?
All the way. It's good. I didn't know that Boston was involved in the history of burlesque, and I forget the name of the theater. It was like the Haynes Theater.
Yeah, one of the great things about this is it's not only got great archival footage, but it interviews these girls nowadays. And listening to these old strippers, old
makeup necessary.
All these old vaudevillians talk about their heyday. It was precious to me. It was just so much fun. Blaze Stars in it, and these are people you find in the Something Weird channel in your cable box.
I got to thinking that like Robert Zemeckis' daughter, of all the things she's going to do, he's going to help her produce this movie about burlesque.
I interviewed her for this.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It was a terrible interview.
Oh, not cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the thing was, this will happen a lot. You know this. I had a terrible time interviewing her. It just did not go smoothly at all.
You did a phone interview?
Yeah, did a phone interview with her. I just felt awful when it was over. I was like, I've got nothing here. I came up with a story. She called the publicist meantime and thanked her because I had done such a good job. And I was like, what?
Oh, well,
no, that was torture. But very nice lady. There's some pretty good extras in here, but again, my favorite part.
Yeah, the extras are basic. Oh, go ahead.
There are more interviews, and if you go to the website, obviously I did a lot of research. It's burlesque, of course I did.
The burlesque timeline helped me.
Yeah, well, if you go to the website, they have a lot more photos. I just think that's such.
It's
Alan
kind of Betty
Alda?
Pages. Oh, yes, Alan Alda's in the film. I can't believe it. I was astonished.
From all his, his the way he was on MASH, and he always seems like these liberal cause guy. You'd expect him almost to be out, protested burlesque, but his dad was in burlesque.
Yes, I didn't get the connection.
Was in burlesque.
I was surprised.
And so he was pretty much a suitcase baby who traveled around, with his dad, and he tells some great stories.
He was like a burlesque producer or something.
Yeah, he tells some great stories about traveling around with his dad, and knowing these ladies as a little kid. I just thought that was the best part. And when I talked to Leslie Zemeckis about it, I was like, how'd you get Alan Alda? She goes, he's been wanting to tell these stories for a long time, but no one ever wants to talk. They think, oh, don't bring that up.
John, what do you got?
I have the new love of my life, the Sophia Loren collection.
Oh, wow.
From Kino Lorber Films. 3 movies: Sunflower, Marriage Italian Style, and Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. There are 3 movies that star Sophia Loren and Marcello Mastroianni, directed by Vittorio De Sica. I was telling Bob before, I want to book a trip to Italy, but I want to go to Italy 1970, when these were filmed, and I want to see Sophia Loren walking down the street the way she does in Marriage Italian Style.
These look great.
Yeah. This yesterday, and the thing is, watching them together, watching them back to back, these are great performances. These are great actors. Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. 3 stories in one. The first one is she plays a woman who gets arrested for selling contraband cigarettes, and she has to go to jail. But when they come to arrest her, she's pregnant, and they can't put a pregnant woman in jail. So her husband has to keep her pregnant. Like, they have a baby, they count down, and boom, she's pregnant again. They always bring the certificate to the doctor. And who wouldn't want to sleep with Sophia Loren? But he's a ghost of a man walking around by the seventh kid. He's like they go to a doctor because he can't perform, and she's making she's giving him shit. She ends up going to prison, but then the town rallies and saves the money, pays her fine, she gets out.
It's amazing that hasn't been like redone as an Adam Sandler movie.
Right, but the thing is, it's like this complete movie, and then there's a second one where Sophia Loren's this rich woman and a rich married woman, and he's kind of like the stud she's picked up, and it's all of them talking about how rich he is driving down the highway. She gets a flat. No, he's driving, they get in an accident. She gets out, gets a ride with another guy in a sports car, and takes off. That's like the whole movie.
Yeah.
And now, the epic third one. She is a prostitute in Italy.
Sunflowers?
No, this is yesterday.
Okay,
so this is the tomorrow part. She's a hooker in Italy. He's one of her clients, stops by when he's in town. She lives next door to an older couple whose son's becoming to be a priest. The son sees her getting out of bed one morning, decides, I don't want to be a priest anymore. Falls in love with her, starts following her around. They have to, so the family comes over, you've destroyed my son's life, you destroyed our life. She goes, look, I'll make a vow. I won't have sex until he decides to be a priest again. Or she gives up sex for a week, and she makes a vow on the candles. They convince the son. He goes back to being a priest. Marcello Mastroianni goes, finally, a little action. He's sitting on the bed. She does the striptease for him, which is on the poster.
Yep.
It's forever blazoned in my mind. It is so cool and so hot.
Yeah.
And she's in, she gets down
from
to
1964. Huh?
Yeah. This must have driven men in 1964 absolutely fucking nuts.
Yeah, these are the movies that made her a star.
Yeah.
in Italy.
And so
She must have been like 21?
Who knows? So she gets down to her bra and panties, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And she realizes she's still under the vow. And she can't do anything. So she has to tell him. And Marcello Mastroianni is sitting there howling as she takes off her clothes. It's just hilarious. And she's like, I forgot, I took a vow. And so there's more of the same hijinks in this one. Sunflower is more of a drama, but just so much fun and so... Italy in the 1960s. Come on, it was just cool.
You should pitch this as the sequel to Midnight in Paris.
Yeah, it was just so much fun. And again, come on, you just can't. I'm just pointing at it for the guys, but that's just so cool.
Sophia Loren Award Collection.
Yep.
Yeah.
4 DVD Blu-ray set. Nice.
Oh, yeah. And thank you, Kino Lorber, for sending that. You've made me a happy boy.
Bob, anything you want to recommend?
Drive Angry is on Blu-ray.
I have it at home waiting for me on my Netflix.
Which was actually kind of awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's a silly
subtle
movie. Yeah,
performance.
Yeah, well, it's a movie that you want Nicolas Cage in. It's one of these.
Yes.
It's like a riff on one of these, like 70s devil cult movies, with the gimmick of this one being that the bad guys are a phony devil cult who have nothing going on, and Nicolas Cage is actually a guy from hell who is like the good guy is an actual dude from hell, and the devil cult are just a bunch of assholes.
And who is the girl in that?
Oh,
yeah.
Is that Amber Heard? She's has the lead in that Playboy Club show, I think.
There was this Playboy show?
They're doing a NBC has a show about like the Playboy casinos in the,
not on
the
yet,
60s.
right?
No, it's not on yet.
Okay.
It's on network TV. Don't get too excited.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Drive Angry today, actually.
Yeah.
On Blu-ray. I can't wait
It's
to
a
see
good
it.
Sunday movie.
Yeah.
Till football comes around, guys, watch Drive Angry every Sunday.
Yeah.
Do recommend it. So I think we're done.
We're done.
You can listen to all of our episodes online. We're at post-movie.net, and we're on iTunes. And if you can subscribe, we'd be very grateful, and even more grateful if you could leave us a review, which would be great, fully great. And we're also on Facebook, so it's nice to be liked on Facebook. And if you have any questions, send us an email. We're at contact@post-movie.net. Bob, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you very much.
Where can readers, listeners?
You can check my blog out at moviebob.blogspot.com. Check out the weekly Escape to the Movies and the Big Picture on Tuesdays and Fridays, respectively, at escapismag.com. And check out the Game Overthinker on screwattack.com.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Until next week, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everyone.